Hey, Coach, it's Joe Salas here. Got a special treat today. We've got Todd Jolly, who is a middle school football coach down in Paradise. He's down there in Miami, Florida. And I met Todd doing a Matt Lasker roundtable, and I was just super impressed with just his ability to take middle school kids and throw the ball around and have fun. And to me, you know, I said this when I had Lasker on here. I think it's the rec ball guys and the middle school guys that are going to change the world with football, because once they start throwing the ball around, that's what's going to get the numbers up. So, Todd, super excited to have you with us, man. Go ahead, first tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll have you teach us that bunch system that I really liked that you were talking about the other day.
All right. Well, thanks first for having me. And again, my name is Todd Jolly. I coach down in Miami, Florida, for a private school called Florida Christian, and we the kids we get a lot of fast kids. We got a lot of kids that have athletic ability. We just didn't get a lot of size down at the youth level. And for us, middle school is 6th, 7th, and 8th. So I watched some of the other videos where guys have 8th graders only, and it's like we don't really live in that world. We really have 6th, 7th, and 8th graders that we play with. And kind of what we were talking about earlier was playing against teams that had bigger guys than us. We couldn't line up foot to foot and run power or single wing or anything like that because it just wasn't working. We had tried it a couple years ago, and you know, with the results that were expected. But how to throw, what to do was really unknown. No one knew really what to do. So we were looking around. I went to a coach's clinic down here at the University of Miami, and then some guys gave me some Facebook groups and the YouTube videos. I found you and Mackie, and then that's really what sent me on my way. But again, it was really kind of foreign, this concept of throwing at the middle school level, and it was as you've talked about, it's like, oh, they can't really do it, they're too young, it's too complicated. And I think what people miss, what they don't realize is middle school kids are capable of a lot more than what people give them credit for. And they'll throw it around, and we've been throwing a ton the last 2 years, and we're only going to get better because we're not even, you know, we're still trying to put into place all the things that we're learning throughout the last year and a half with all the, you know, your videos and Mackie's videos and Lasker's videos. There's so much more information now for a coach to access that you're not, when you're in middle school, you kind of feel like you're on an island if you want to do something different. And it's not that way anymore. You can really learn and put the systems in place and get these kids to come out, because even if you have little kids, if you know, especially from flag football leagues, watch them. They know how to find grass because that's what they live with. You know, if you play with kids that come from the park, a lot of them still want to get physical, and that's fine. But they don't really look for grass. They don't know how to play that way. So you know, you watch kids in PE, you watch kids that play flag football. They're all about throwing the ball around. They love to throw it around, and that's what got more kids interested in is doing that rather than giving it to the biggest kid and letting them.
Well, that's what I love about you guys, you and Lasker, and there are some really good coaches in on that last round table that I was super impressed with. But just, you know, I have a middle school coach who he really wants to throw it. He wants to do what we do, but he needs to see some guys doing it at his level and being successful, and even doing it. You know, we had some guys in there in that last round table. They were doing it in the rec ball level and being successful with it. Yeah. So I just think the more that high school and middle school coaches see guys throwing it around being successful, the more they're willing to do it. And we know the kids love it, and that's the key. It's the key to getting those numbers up like we want them to do. So it's in your hands, man. You're going to save football. You're going to get these numbers back up. How about, can you go ahead and teach us that? You had a beautiful bunch, a little series that you were talking about in the round table, and I'd love you to teach it and then show the cut-ups for it.
All right, I'm going to start by saying, when I first started learning this whole system, it was kind of, I was trying to figure out how to do all these things. And what really resonated with me was the whole concept of defending the whole 53 yards. And, okay, well, how do you do that when you have these kids? Because I'm still in that mindset of, they can't throw that far, or this and the other. And this was what I found was the first gateway into doing that. We started practicing that in spring before we put anything else in there. And I'll say this, whatever you practice and whatever you focus on, you'll get good at. And we got good at this out of this series, and then out of 22 and 3x1 and even 3x2 slant flat, which I copied right off your channel. We got good at those two plays, and I'm looking forward to really, putting in stick and corner and all these things, because whatever you practice, whatever you figure out a way to organize and put into your practice plans and things like that, these kids will pull it off. This is not that hard once you practice it. And that's what.
Do you have clips on the slant flat stuff?
Yes, I do. I don't have them queued up, but I can get them pretty easy.
Yeah,
I have them saved there.
Let's do another one, because I'll be honest with you, we have not had real success on JV level with slant shoot. So I'd love to see your stuff, because that's one we almost don't even put down in the middle school in the JV, just because we're a little gun shy from the pass, but it's our favorite pass on varsity. So I'd like to have you come back in a couple of weeks and teach that one too. But
I'd be happy. Don't get deja vu, because I copy a lot of your stuff. So on that one video where you say it's your favorite play, you said, and I was like, okay, let me look, and then that's basically what it was. You put it in. We had a lot of success, even when we kind of messed up on it. It was still good for us. And here's the thing: I don't know about at the varsity level, because I know just watching the difference between my 8th graders that go to high school, the speed difference is, it does change. The kids are faster, the hits are harder, all that's true enough. But still, to me, some of the stuff we pulled off on slant flat, I was like, if we can do that, we should be able to do anything else, because it's not as easy as people think. It's fairly complex in what it is. So I can certainly show that too.
Yeah. We in a couple of weeks, let's do that. Let's do one on that one too.
All right, man. So what I'm going to do is, what we did is, also in watching the videos, I'm going to echo Lasker and Mackie and you guys, the fewer the better. Had a ton of plays, and you know how it is. It's like, oh, this looks good. And then we got rid of all that, and we just stuck to a couple, we stuck to about 12 plays. And this one, well, I was like, okay, well, what can we do with this whole thing? Because we liked it. The kids liked it. It was weird. It's different looking. They think they're playing Madden. The kids love this thing. And so what we did is we kind of combined a couple different plays on the backside, so that the one receiver who's in isolation has some options. I'll show you where we do them all. So let me start by sharing this. I can't share it.
Won't let you share?
No.
What is it saying?
Host disabled participant sharing.
Good gracious.
There's an option in there. That's so those mischievous students can't mess around in class.
One participant share at a time, multiple participants. I just hit multiple. I need to hit advanced.
There it goes. I got it.
You good now? Okay.
Yep. All right. Can you see that?
It's coming up. Okay, it's up.
All right. Now, this is how it's drawn up. And this is the only time where we will flip sides with our X and our Z. Normally, X is always on the left, Z is always on the right. But this is the one exception to that, where the X is always in isolation and the Z is always with the bunch. And we're going to expand on this, but let me tell you this was really effective for us, just this one play. And I'll tell you why. Because on isolation, on the backside, the X, depending on what he sees and the leverage of the coverage, he can either go straight out on a vert and go deep. He can go fade, which we had an aiming point of 18 yards down the field on the numbers. And I'll show you that. And then also a bender, once we get him protecting that outside release, we can bend it in a little bit, or then just the slant. Now, after watching last year's videos, I think I put in that hitch as an option. I don't know if we'll get into that, because this right here is a lot for the kid to remember, but he was able to do, our quarterback and our receiver were able to do all these options except for the hitch. Then over on the bunch side, it's just F and Z double the most dangerous man. Y outside releases and gets the forgive my ignorance, I think they call it the alleyway or whatever, the numbers area. And then the R just steps and turns, catches, and tries to make a play to the outside. So here's the thought process behind that. So the quarterback, when he gets up to the line of scrimmage, he's going to look at what is given to him. If we have the numbers on the bunch side, he's going to throw to the running back. He's going to throw to the R right now. And we consider that anytime we have at least a +1 on numbers. So 4-3, definitely 4-2. So if he's got numbers advantage, he's going to throw to the R. Over here, if he's seeing there's a couple the safeties over here, because in middle school this causes some sort of confusion, and sometimes you'll have 2 safeties over here in this area. So we count that as they can make a play on it. But sometimes you'll get everybody over here, 1 guy up top or 0, and then just the corner's out here by himself. And just like Mackey says, we love that. So if he's out there isolated, we're gonna run deep. And then when he's released, he's watching him, and the quarterback and the receiver are watching the defender's hips. And I won't say what Mackey says, but Mackey has a funny way of coaching it where if he turns his hips towards the quarterback, that's it. If he turns his hips towards the quarterback, you're going to run right by him and go deep. If he turns towards you or backpedals, we're going to run the fade and aim for the 18 yards and just try and make a play. And that's the way we ran it, and it was successful. So if the hips turn towards the quarterback, we're going to go deep. If he backpedals and continue and won't let you overtake him, or he turns towards you, we're going to do the fade. And I guess in higher levels, you would do the comeback, but we never were able to get that comeback going. So we just throw it up and make a play. So, but it's not just like a Hail Mary. It's a landmark play, 18 yards on the numbers. And I'm going to show you that there's an 11-year-old that was throwing it.
Talk about that too, that you're going to show 2 different quarterbacks. One's 11 and one was 13. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had 2 different quarterbacks. And on the one game, that kid had just, the 11-year-old had just turned 11 a month prior. So we had him over the summer. We had him in 5th grade when we brought him up and invited him to spring practice. So he had been working this all through the summer and all in the spring, this concept right here. So that he started that at 10 years old. And when he got the call, because the other guy got injured, he got the call, and we're like, look, man, he's not going to be ready for the game. We need you to play. So that kid started his first game of middle school, and he threw 29 times that game. So he had a big game, 2 touchdowns, and that's the thing. I want to stop for just a second. Just the excitement that builds, seeing a 6th grader throwing the ball around and scoring, throwing touchdowns, that gets people excited. That gets the kids who are interested and watching the games excited. They want to come out and be a part of that.
Absolutely.
All right. And then the other option would be if they're going super deep or protecting that outside, we can always run the slant, which I have as well. So I have this queued up. Hopefully this works. All right. How does this look?
Hit play and let's see.
All right. You seen it?
Yeah, you're good.
All right. So this first one is okay. So I'm going to talk about stretching the whole length of the field. This is something I was concerned about at the middle school level is how are you going to stretch the whole field? Because it's easier when you're just doing halves. This is a way to do that because they have to respect the whole field. So here he knows he's got the numbers. All right. We got 4 on 2. There's no one over here. All right. So he's got 4 on 2. We had already hit him earlier in the game on that deep route. So they were protecting that. But here, this is a 17-yard throw, and this is an 11-year-old that makes this throw. And again, we've been practicing that since he was 10 and in 5th grade. He'd been practicing this. So this begins, and he's already made that determination where he's going to go. When I put this play in, it's up to him and the receivers to figure out what's going on. And that goes into the whole thing that you guys talk about of ownership. give these guys a little, make them part of the offense, and they will rise to levels that you don't really expect out of these kids. They can do more than people give them credit for. So he's already made the determination of where he's going to go. So nothing huge, but that is part of that package. If you get out,
can you go back and
yep.
try? Is there a way to go slow motion? Because it was a little glitchy on my side, and that's a perfect play in my book. That's a quick screen that went for 10 yards. That's awesome.
12. All right, I'm gonna try and go slow.
Yeah, see if it'll go slow motion and maybe be a little better.
It's glitchy. You want to do that?
Okay.
Let me start.
Right, we see it. I mean, you had 4-on-2, and you threw the quick screen and got an easy 12. That's friggin' perfect. Yeah. Now, your better receiver, was he at X or was he at the Z?
Our best receiver, we put him at X in isolation.
Isolate him. Okay, great.
All right. So okay, so that opens up that, because this is okay. So air raid, the more I learn about it, is all about causing this type of these types of situations. But for me, learning that, the easiest way to see it was with this formation. Now we're able to teach it and see it in 2x2 and 3x1, but here it really forces the defense to declare what they're going to do. You might be afraid to put your kid back there by himself, and I get it, but that kid's 11 years old, and he faced 8th graders. You know, he's going up against 8th graders, because that's just how our league is set up. You know, it's 6th, 7th, and 8th. This one is the slant. So here on this one, they're going to get up to the line here, and they're going to see these guys come over, and it's 3-on-2, and he picks the slant rather than anything else because he's got double coverage here. I talked to him, to the quarterback, on his thought process, and he said, we saw grass in the middle. So, okay, you know, that you got to trust them a little bit where they see grass. I can't see what they see from the sideline. I'm not in the press box. So I trust them to say, hey, if you see grass, take it.
That's awesome.
So, okay, now this one is the big one. This is the 13-year-old quarterback. He has an arm. He's older. He's more mature. This is the one. I hope you can see this. The cornerback covering our X, because he turns his hips towards the quarterback. And that's what, you know, and again, you hear that, but until you see it, until you experience it, now you know what this can be done. Now you know what they're talking about. So the guy covering our receiver turns his hips towards the quarterback. And that was the thing. If you see that, go for the home run ball. So hopefully you'll be able to see that.
Beautiful.
So if I was on Huddle, this would be easier, but I downloaded it to try and make it simpler. Here, the guy covering our cornerback he's completely turned, and that's what we you know, I watched the videos on that. And again, for anyone who's thinking about doing this and wondering if you can do it, learn from the people who are doing these videos, learn from the people who are coaching this up, because it works. It's like when you see that, once you experience that, you understand what they're talking about. He can't make a play. He's totally taking himself out of the play by turning that way. And a lot of that has to do with being hit with the screen already. You know, they're thinking about that weird formation. They're thinking about that. So they're not used to it. They've taken themselves out of the play, and they just run right by him. Now that play requires a big arm. Yes, that's about a 38-yard pass, but you know, if you got a guy that can do that, you know, it can run, and then that's just the noose play, you know, over the shoulder catch.
No, that's perfect, Coach. So you're using this diamond formation to force the defense to commit and show their hand, and then you're isolating your best receiver. It's friggin' perfect. I love having you on to show this.
Now this one, okay, so this is the first play of that sixth grader kid's game. It was his first play. I said, hey, because he was super nervous. And again, you know what you're dealing with when you're dealing with 10, 11-year-olds, things like that. He was super nervous. I said, hey, look, nothing to be nervous about. You've been doing this all summer. You've been doing this since you were 10. Just do what you did. You know, put it where you know where to put it. And again, the first time you throw this, they don't know how to do it and things like that. And we had them practicing. And now I was watching a video with Goldtharp, I think is his name, and he was talking about taking out the trash. And that's a good drill, because that's the kind of thing is like if you have these kids throwing it to a specific spot over and over and over again, it's like muscle memory. So his coaching point as an 11-year-old since he was 10 was 18 yards on the numbers. Put that ball 18 yards on the numbers, 18 yards downfield, and put it on the numbers. Now it is a little bit of it's not a line drive shot. It's, you know, he could straighten it out, sure, but it's almost perfect placement. So here, now you can see here it's causing some confusion with the defense. Mm-hmm. And he comes up. That's about 17 and a half yards past the line of scrimmage and on the numbers. So that kid's, you know, he's 11. And all that is practice. All that is practice and more practice and being familiar and being confident that you can do it. Once he did that, forget it. That he was off to the races.
Yeah, that's a good way to start out your career, isn't it?
Now I was going to show you later on in that same game the bender. And again, he's 11, and it is a low throw, but you'll see the concept here. So we come out in the same formation. Now here's what I was talking about. They're in cover zero. They've locked up that quad side. All right, they've put him on that island, and he's protecting the outside. So in talking to the quarterback and the receiver at halftime, he was covering that outside. So they threw the bender. Touchdown. So again, that's a sixth grader and a seventh grader. And then one thing in Coach Lasker's roundtable is learning more about the counter and things like that. I didn't know how to coach that yet, and that's one of the things I'm excited to learn is how to do a quarterback counter, because at some point some of the teams they'll take the quads away, and they'll take away the X, and then that leaves 5 in the box. And we did have a call, if it's 5 in the box, we're going to run dive. So I have a clip of that, and I think if we can work a counter call into there, it'll be even more successful. But even just running a sloppy dive, it got us 4. You know, you can get 4 yards in a 5-man box.
Yep, just based everyone up and took it.
Yeah. So it's a really versatile formation for us. I had a couple here I wanted to show. Okay, so when you run the slant, one of the things that he's too, like, spacing matters, and sometimes the kids will forget that. And I think he got kind of scared. I'm not scared, but, you know, he heard footsteps, let's say, on his slant, and this kid's got excellent hands, but I think he's a little bit too close in. That's not where we coach him to be. We coach him out closer to the numbers so that when he runs that slant, he's got all this grass. And just to show that when you're coaching it, make sure you don't forget about those details of coaching, you know, where you're supposed to line up, because he's a little bit too close. He's a little bit too inside for this slant call. The grass is there, but he just kind of, I think he kind of got He hesitated a little bit, but I think if he would have been wider, that would have been a beautiful. He could have just turned it upfield. But I think spacing, we don't want him in that close. We want him outside the hashes again to space them out, spread them out.
Right.
That's what I got for our little bunch series.
Man, I'm glad we had you on. You just made a lot of people better. A lot of middle school guys by just showing them that is a simple series. That's almost a standalone series that guys could put in just to throw the ball, no matter what your regular offense is, because you force the defense to declare so much in that thing. And even that little, just a simple base, man up everyone and base it, I think is a great play. So great job, man. And I want you to come back in a couple of weeks and teach that slant shoot, because that's my baby, and I'd love to see it being successful down in the middle school. So thank you, Todd, and thank you, Coach, for watching. Make sure you subscribe.
My pleasure.
We're gonna have Todd back in a couple of weeks, and he's gonna teach my baby to everybody. All right, man. Thanks a lot.
All right, man. Thanks for calling out, man.